data breach notification is probably a very important one because in case of a data breach, so if your data gets lost or it's subject to unlawful processing of data, meaning someone else has access to your data, unauthorized access. It could be anything from losing a laptop with personal data on it or having a hack, a ransomware. You name it. If such a breach occurs and the data includes sensitive data, for example, medical information, pictures, username, passwords. I know LinkedIn, Twitter had some data breaches and leaked username, passwords. But if it includes sensitive data, meaning it could result in a risk to the rights and freedoms of natural persons, you will have to notify the supervisory authority within 72 hours of the data breach occurring. Now, it depends on what data subjects are affected by this breach to answer the question which supervisory authority should be notified. If you are a U.S. company and you are processing personal data of data subjects in the Netherlands, you would have to inform and notify the supervisory authorities in the Netherlands. If it involves more than just one country, you will have to inform more than one supervisory authority. Meaning you should probably consult the macro privacy lawyers because we are represented in 60 different countries. But you should inform and see what the notification entails and in which country you need to do what. You need to have a first aid line, so in case you have a data breach, you know who to call and determine whether or not you should notify the authorities or the data subject. There's probably some differences between the member states because the Netherlands has introduced a notification requirement in 2016, and I've noticed that the Dutch authorities are quick to judge that. Except for notifying the authorities themselves, you also have to notify the data subject. And from Henrik, I understand that the Swedish authorities do not really require data subjects being notified as quickly as the Dutch authorities do. So there will have to be some judgments on that. One thing, you need to make sure you have a data breach policy in place so that you will know how to act whenever a data breach occurs, and make sure your representative knows how to act because initially your representative is probably the person who will need to coordinate anything that needs to happen. You have the obligation to document all personal data breaches even if there is no notification requirement. So make sure your documentation is okay too. So in case the supervisory authority comes to check up on you, you will be able to demonstrate your compliancy.
I would like to clarify, I believe I gave the wrong impression to Marta when we talked about data breach notifications in various jurisdictions because, yes, there have been examples where the Swedish authorities have required under the present electronic communications regulations, where there are a breach notification requirement, that they have sanctioned telecom operators who have failed to notify data subjects on individual breach matters. But these are really the exceptions because the operators have been incredibly reluctant to issue any notifications. And there is according to published reports, there were probably around 50 breach notifications done by operators to the supervisory authority in the last year. But of these 50, it appears that very few, if any, were deemed by the authority to constitute of a nature to constitute a high risk to the rights and freedoms of individuals. So I think that'll be a matter that the various national authorities will have to align themselves eventually to come at a reasonably harmonized level of when, at what point is a breach of a nature that needs to be notified to the data subject and not just to the supervisory authority.